Okay, so it's oil change time on the Toyota MR2 2-liter turbo. I want to use some very good oil, and I definitely want to use a very good oil filter so I don't have any little pieces of metal going back into that turbo. Now, of course, I'm being safe, so I don't just have the jack set up. I've got two tripods to catch the vehicle because I wouldn't want to be crushed by the vehicle if something goes wrong. And well, I'm about to head underneath the vehicle and see what's what. Okay, so pretty easy to do an oil change on a Toyota MR2. You've got my jack back there. You've got two tripod stands in case the vehicle falls. I've got my oil pan ready, and you can see that right back there, kind of easy to see from the back of the vehicle, but I'm coming in from the side, and I just need to wrench off that screw and change the oil filter right there. Now I have taken the top entry for oil on the top of the motor off, just to make sure that there's no vacuum seal or anything, that all the oil drains out. So this will be pretty easy. So here's that exhaust system while we're just waiting for the oil to drain. Here's that exhaust system that I built with a friend by hand. Always seem to like the sound MagnaFlow gives me. And some pretty awful welds. Well, that was my first time welding, and I don't know if I'm any better now. That last generation, the third generation of the 3S GTE, not third generation MR2. If it's a third generation MR2, well, this would have about 135 horsepower and would be pretty sad. Mind you, they do handle as well like go-karts, the models from the 2000s, built until 2007. But there's that air filter I'm going to need to be changing, because I remember putting that back in 2007. These oxygen sensors tend to go, and they cost a fortune. And we'll wait a few minutes, get that completely drained out. Now, while that oil is draining, I'd love to know what y'all think about these scoops. Should we switch those scoops out for the original part? That's not an original part whatsoever. They bring extra air to the engine. Some say that it creates problems with the air coming in from the bottom side louvers. And I don't have the machine to really know that whatsoever, but here you got this louver bringing air to the air intake, and on the other side the louver is there for bringing air to the intercooler. But do I get rid of these scoops and throw on the original flat pieces, or do we stick with them and keep going along with what is on it? They'll need repairs. I do have the other parts. They're over here. This trunk cover is pretty out there. I think I'm gonna keep it. That wing also needs to be repaired, but very difficult to find an original wing. But those are the original pieces. So I'd love to hear what y'all think. Now a quick little survey update. These are Advan Racing wheels. They're very 1990s style, but they're actual racing wheels. Would you have them remade, almost the same price as buying a new TSW or NK wheels, or would you go with, let's say, TSW or NK instead of getting these rebuilt? They definitely need to be rebuilt because, well, they're not just dirty, there's spots where they're actually rusted or pitted, so they do need to be redone. No choice there. The finish is, well, finished. So love to know a little bit on your opinion. What wheels these rebuilt? If so, what color? And if new mags, what do you have as a suggestion, and what color of mags would you go with? Because then we'll be deciding the color of the paint of the vehicle. Okay, so real great having this light. Made the oil change super easy. Now, why waste money? At least for this model, don't get someone to do the oil change. You literally just need a jack, some tripod catchers, some stands, and a light, Just don't forget your light at the end of the job on the vehicle and drive away, and don't forget to put oil back in the motor. So yeah, put the screw back on, make sure to put the screw, I put it by hand and then just gave it a little bit more with the medium-sized wrench, because you don't want to overturn that oil plug screw and wreck your oil pan. So I definitely want to use synthetic oil. They didn't have any 10W30, which is recommended for this, but being that I'm not in an unbelievably hot climate and this is not going to get winter driven, I went with the SW30. I do recommend you try to get 10W30. Always get what the manufacturer recommends. The fact that this is synthetic is definitely good, and the reason slow and steady wins the race is it's not that I'm afraid to waste oil. It's not because I'm so cheap I'm worried about wasting 3 drops of synthetic oil. It's because I don't want to have to deal with there being oil on the floor and me getting caught. It is my garage, but I have to keep it clean. Everyone's got a boss, right? Okay, now we've put in 3 liters into the engine. We definitely don't want to have too much oil. So unfortunately, I've got some real bad news for you. Changing the timing belt here takes 7 to 8 hours and is a real hassle. But it doesn't take very long, but it is a hassle getting the oil dipstick from back here. You want to have gloves because half the time you're going to bang your hand on the metal there, and why open up your hands if you don't have to? Okay, I think there's right now very little, and to find that hole you really need to go feeling for it. So don't try to visually find that hole. When you pull the dipstick out, as you pull it out, get a feel for what the end of the dipstick holder feels like, the little funnel. Yeah, so actually synthetic is so clear that I'm actually halfway between full and low after only 3 liters. So I'm gonna add half of the next bottle. So I'm gonna add 500 milliliters. You get it right up to the full line. You definitely do not want to overfull. Being right in the middle is actually perfectly fine. But it's an older vehicle, and I want there to be space in case I'm actually losing oil. I haven't seen any in the driveway. Do keep in mind, putting cardboard underneath your vehicle if you're parked inside isn't just about keeping the garage clean. It's about being smart, because you'll see on your cardboard what oils you're dropping and what color. So it can really give you a good idea of what's going on with your vehicle. So that wraps up today's show. Thank you so much. Do like and subscribe to help feed that poodle and not miss out, because we're going to be working on this more. We're going to be doing spark plugs, air filter, paint job, changing the mags. Really, this MR2 is getting redone top to bottom. So do like and subscribe. Help us out. Don't miss out. Have a great week. Thank you so much for all your support, because y'all make this happen. The cars on the channel are because of you guys. So thank you all for the help. Take care.